If you've looked in the mirror recently and thought, I don't recognise myself anymore, then this is for you. Not because you're broken or something wrong with you or because anything needs fixed, because it doesn't. It just needs loved, recognised and appreciated. Because you might be misinterpreting what's actually happening and what's actually going on and what's actually there. And my aim for this presentation is to help you change how you're seeing yourself. If even one of these hit, then stay with me, because this isn't about pushing you. It's about helping you see yourself more clearly, more truthfully. This presentation's for you if you don't recognise your body anymore. Maybe you used to look a certain way, be a certain way, and now you're not. And you're almost like grieving and missing that admired and most liked part of yourself. I have a worksheet at the end of this and the description below that when you work through that and ask and answer those questions, it will help you really integrate and implement what I'm talking about here. If you used to feel strong and in control, but you feel like you're weak and out of control now, we can help you recognize and appreciate that what you miss most and what you admire most is not actually missing. It's just changed form. And that form is in your highest values right now, waiting for you to actually recognize and appreciate it. And that's what will help you do in the worksheet. So if you feel nervous walking back into the gym, maybe you're anxious, you feel out of place, you feel like you don't belong, we'll help you overcome that, break through that. And if you think you've let yourself go, you secretly feel behind or you're not where you should be, you're not appreciating where you're at right now, and you're comparing it to where you think you're supposed to be, should be, meant to be, this will help you appreciate where you're at so you can go to where you want to be. Because you can't change what you don't love, and if you're judging yourself for being where you're at, you're going to find it difficult to shame yourself into change. It doesn't need to be that way. There's a better way, and that's what I want to share with you today. I start by saying, nothing is wrong with you. As much as you might think that all these things need fixed and all these things are not good enough, they're broken, they don't deserve love, and you hate them, you judge them, and you want to change them. When you feel shame about your body, your strength, your discipline, how you think, how you live, how you eat, your lack of physical activity, call yourself lazy, undisciplined, unmotivated, none of that is necessarily true. These are all labels and judgments. These things don't mean that you failed. It just means that you're looking at something one-sidedly, meaning that you're only seeing the negative. You're exaggerating the negative. You're not actually seeing the equal and opposite positive. And this is key. This is the source of your pain. And it's all in your perception. And the mindset work we do here is all about changing your perceptions into a more balanced, loving, whole state, rather than having a fractured, incomplete, imbalanced perception, which then creates these emotions, these feelings of guilt, shame, and fear and anxiety. And it's what causes us to compare, whether that's an old version of ourselves or out there to other people who are displaying these things that we admire and we haven't yet fully recognised and owned and appreciated in ourselves. One-sided perception always creates emotional weight, emotional baggage. You can control and change your perceptions by asking the right quality questions. This is something that's got so much untapped potential. It's something I've explored within myself. It's something I've invested thousands of pounds and hours studying and applying and helping other people understand too. And I'm absolutely certain that you can change your perceptions and you can break through any mental and emotional barriers that come up through implementing the process that I'm going to share with you today. So the real pain usually sounds like if I'm weaker, I'm undisciplined. If I've gained weight, I've let myself go. If I'm not where I was or where I want to be, I'm behind. I'm failing. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. And that's not the truth. That's not data. That's not fact. That's just your interpretation, your perception, your story, which can be changed if you decide to. It's not permanent. The thing that happened or the thing that is, it's there, right? Okay, that is what it is. But how you perceive it is something that you can change. And if you're perceiving it in a way to mean something negative about you, to perceive lack, like something's missing, you can change that by becoming aware that nothing is missing. At the level of the senses, things appear to be missing, but at the level of the essence of the soul, nothing's missing. And I know that might sound a bit woo-woo, but the bottom line is that nothing's lost or gained, everything's transformed. And when you're able to approach it with that open-minded perspective and expand your mind beyond what you initially perceive and believe to be true and real, you start to recognize and appreciate that what I'm saying here is true and nothing is missing within you. And that's what I want to help you understand here, and that's what I want you to really reflect on. The things that you perceive to be most missing and which form are they currently in. And there's a process to appreciate that and detach from the old forms so that you can just acknowledge and appreciate the love and balance, the love and whole that's all there. And I say loving, meaning both-sided, positive and negative are in a beautiful balance, a harmonious balance, which when you get to that point, judgment collapses, perception balances, and you recognise the magnificence of who you are and what is. Because the magnificence of who you are is far greater than any fantasy you'll ever impose on yourself. And most people live by these fantasies, never truly appreciating the magnificence, the beauty, the strength of who they currently are. So most women and men that I work with are comparing themselves to either a version of their past self that felt stronger, leaner, more in control, more consistent, more confident, or they're comparing themselves to other people on the outside who they look up to, they admire, they see things in them that they look up to, and because they're looking up to it and admiring it, they're too humble to admit that they have the same thing in themselves. They have this deflective awareness rather than reflective awareness. These individuals out with us are reflecting parts of ourselves that we are unconscious, that we have in ourselves. And that's why we admire it, because it reminds us of part of ourselves that we admire, that we just haven't fully owned. Not yet, at least. And there's a process to do that. It's just, again, a quality question to become more reflectively aware and empower that part of ourselves so that we fully own it to the same degree, qualitatively and quantitatively, so we stop shrinking and we start shining. And I've done this myself, and I've done this with clients where we take something that we really admire in other people and we reflect and we find when we've done it in our own form, which we express through our highest values. And once we do that 5, 10, 15, 20 times, maybe more, depending on how much you really admire and look up to it and disown it, you get to a moment where you own that. And when you own that, confidence rises. You empower that part of yourself. You no longer look up to that individual. You look across to them and you see in them, you see in yourself what you've seen in them. You see it for what it is. Not this exaggerated, amazing thing, but just it is what it is. So when we compare ourselves to current you and old you, that's how we refer to this, right? We say old you because we think that that version of us is now different from who we are now, but that individual from then until now has just went through a transformation, one that you've not fully acknowledged and appreciated yet. So, what did you admire most about her? When you really look back at the old version of you, it's probably all the positive things, right? They were strong, they were consistent, they were confident, they were fit, they were healthy, they were well, they were disciplined, and blah, 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 blah. List out all those things, get real clear on specifically what that version of you used to do, that you admired most, that you look up to most, and then you now perceive to have lost. Because that version of you, there's an important question here, right? Just to reflect. We'll go into the real work in the worksheet, right? But an important question was she whole? Was she complete? Was he complete? That old version of you, were they perfect? Or are you just remembering that version of you selectively? Meaning, are you just seeing all the positives and downplaying the negatives? To be strong, there's downsides to that. To be consistent, there's downsides to that. To be fit, to be healthy, to be well, to be motivated, to be confident. There's downsides to all of that. There's challenges and negative things that you need to experience, face, and embrace in order to actually experience that positive. You understand? There's two sides to this positive, exaggerated thing. So to calm down that infatuation, just recognise and appreciate the thing that you really admired. There was also a downside and negative to all that. As much as you might not see that, starting to really recognise and appreciate the balance of both sides to those traits will help you reduce that infatuation with them. And infatuation just being an exaggeration of the positive. So if you think back to that old version of you as well, was she the final form? Meaning, was she complete? Was she done? Was she perfect? And if so, why did life evolve you from that version to this version? We're all constantly evolving, changing, growing. I'd say improving, but I don't really believe we're improving. I just believe we're all growing and constantly transforming. If that version was the final version of you, then why have you evolved into this new version of you? It was a change in values, right? What you valued then, what you value now, who you were then, who you are now, that's changed and transformed, which is completely normal. We all evolve and grow. I'm not the same person now as I was 10 years ago, probably even a year ago. And probably same for you, right? Because we go through this growth and evolution as we go through life. So you've had new opportunities, responsibilities, new ways of seeing things, new learnings, emotional growth, and expanded identity. Maybe you didn't regress and lose anything. Maybe you just evolved. And your unique expression of the things that you admired back then have just changed form. Make sense? Think about this. The version of you that you're idolising and fantasising about, exaggerating and admiring, all of those those positive things, think about the negatives that came with them all, right? Because that old version of you, did she have fewer responsibilities, more time, less demand, less emotionally stretched? Strength hadn't yet needed to look like endurance. And what I mean is, if you really think back to that old version of yourself, all the things you admire, calm down the infatuation by recognising and appreciating all the downsides with all of those positives. What did you have to do to be strong, to perform, to essentially be who you were? And again, I don't want to go too deep into this, but in the worksheet, this will all make sense with the specific questions I want you to ask and answer. So if you look at the current version of you today, we want to really recognise and appreciate the upsides. So again, we're owning the traits, we're looking at it, and we're looking for the benefits of the new form, your new form of strength, your new form of fitness, of health, of the responsibility, the adaptability, whatever it is that you admire in the old version of you, we want to find a new form and appreciate it now. So instead of judging this version, you start appreciating this version, loving this version. And if you think about who have you become from this old version to this version, that kind of season of growth that you went through, what has it forced you to develop within you? You've carried yourself through this phase, this season. You've recovered, you've adapted, you've kept going through whatever it was. That is strength. And it's just changed form from one to another. So this is the kind of key point to all of this, right? You're not weaker. You're expressing strength differently, according to your hierarchy of values, which is ever evolving, which has evolved from the old version to this new version. Old strength looked like performance. New strength perhaps looks like endurance. You're strong before for performance, aesthetics, how you looked, how you're feeling. Now you're maybe stronger for life and the responsibilities and the people you're responsible for and work, perhaps, like whatever it is for you. Again, looking at your values, that's your new expression of strength within there. And again, that's not failure. This is evolution. This is transformation. This is growth. You're remembering the highs but ignoring the lows and the trade-offs that it took to get those highs. Something I've just said time and time again. I hope it's making sense. And you're judging your present against the highlight reel of the past. When you exaggerate the positives of the past, the present looks more negative. When you calm down this exaggeration, see the downsides, you start to appreciate the past and the present, rather than thinking, oh, that's better than this. You get me? And when you compare present to past, thinking that's better than this, that's what creates shame. Thinking that there's something wrong with you. You're not good enough. Something's not enough. Balancing your perceptions of those past moments dissolves the shame. So when shame drives you, the gym feels threatening. When balance drives you, when I say balance, I mean love and appreciation for yourself, for who you are as you are, the gym feels safe. It feels safe to step into new challenges. When you're shamed, you don't want to stand out and pursue new challenges, which shrink and hide away. Think about posture when you feel ashamed and guilty and down. Think about your posture when you feel loving, grateful, and present. It's very different, right? Safety creates consistency. Shame creates avoidance. That's the bottom line. And this is why I say you can't shame yourself into change. You can't change what you don't love. Because what you resist persists. And what you fear becomes near. So, again, using these kind of fear tactics or try to shame yourself, in my experience and opinion and complete belief, it just doesn't work for the long term. Because these things recur to wake you up to the truth that no matter what you've done or not done, you're worthy of love. All those negative things about yourself right now, they're all worthy of love. All the things that you've done in the past, all the things you've not done, worthy of love too. It's only the judgments that make that sound not true. Make sense? So, you feel heavy because you're fighting reality. Your fantasy and reality are too detached. You're not appreciating the reality because you're exaggerating the fantasy of this old version. Or, again, if we're looking outside of you, then we're exaggerating the positives in the end and downplaying the positives in ourselves. It's that contrast. When we exaggerate something else, there is also the complementary opposite to maintain balance, but it's misbalanced. And as soon as we calm that down, that being the exaggeration, we balance ourselves, we balance our mind, we balance the emotions that we feel. And that calms down the mental and emotional noise, and we feel present, grounded, appreciated for who we are, as we are. And when perception balances, internal conflict reduces. This work is powerful. That's why you feel lighter, you feel brighter, you feel you're shining and showing up better. Not because you're hyping yourself up and get motivated and get fucking fired up, let's go. But it's just because the distorted perceptions reduced and you became more aware, more conscious, more clear, able to breathe deeper, able to relax your shoulders a bit more, be able to be in that state of gratitude. So rebuilding confidence doesn't mean returning to the old you. It means integrating strength from both versions. Rebuilding confidence is simple. It's stacking up evidence. Confidence comes from confidence. Confidence comes from competence. When you can recognize and appreciate that you're already competent in this thing, when you stack up the evidence of the moments of where and when you've displayed that thing, and where and when you are already what you're admiring and think you've lost, confidence rises, comparison reduces. It's a very effective and efficient process that goes direct to the root of this comparison issue, of this low confidence issue, by removing what's in the way for your true self-confidence to emerge. And this is emotional maturity, it's mental stability. We don't want these fractured versions of ourselves because it's our perceptions that are all fractured. We want to integrate it all into a whole, having a fractured sense of self. We don't have this, don't have that, all these disowned parts. When we start to integrate them and see them within ourselves, we become more whole because we start to express ourselves wholly and fully instead of half fully. So, one question. What is one small action this week that expresses who you already are? Now, that's just one question of many, but maybe just something to reflect on. Like, if you look at your values and if you look at the actions you take day to day and week to week, can you see that what you're doing is already an expression of who you really are and what you value most? So, we don't want you from here restricting yourself harder or punishing yourself. I just want you to recognize and appreciate one action that you're taking that's expressing that you respect yourself. And that might be one gym session, planning one proper meal, going to bed earlier, drinking water instead of Red Bull. Just expression, not proof. I hope that makes sense. Back up. So, understanding this once is powerful. I'm just obviously exposing you to, I guess, the general kind of idea of this, but to truly integrate it is different. That's where the real transformation and shift comes from. So if you want help doing that, reach out. We can book in a call and we can go over and help you ask and answer the questions and find the answers so that you truly integrate this and we reduce that comparison and increase that confidence. So message me the word integrate and we can sort out a call. No pressure, just alignment. You haven't lost yourself or any parts of yourself because nothing is missing. It's just changed form. Thank you for listening.